This painting has already been painted a while ago, and it's dried nicely. So this phase is now the time where there's more line work on the whole picture, as you can see. So I can find little areas that I think can do with some definition and sort of draw them in that way with the linseed oil and the green and black, if it's a green area like that, for instance, or brown or red or so forth, and just to define some areas that I think can do with a little bit of sharpening up. But I don't do it everywhere. It's good to leave some of the raw areas so that you have a nice combination of more overworked, or I wouldn't say overworked, but worked into, and of course there the tone, putting some darks, real nice tonal differences into the whole thing. And now the next phase is to sort of, this is the only time I'll use some turpentine, is to pick up the paint that I've just put down. That's why it's so important that the underpainting is very dry, because if I do put the turpentine, it will pick up the painting underneath. And here, this is just about using a flare brush and softening up the areas that I've done, and with a very dry brush, just to give the whole thing, let the paint sit, and also mix the colors, because this way you can mix some beautiful colors. Okay, here we go again, the red with a little bit of black, and doing some linear work, defining certain areas. This is very much a repetitive process, going through the painting meticulously and just deciding which areas can do with a little bit of definition and which I should just leave. So it's a touch and go. It's very much a personal, instinctive thing. I mean, there's many different options of doing this, but this does give the painting a more finished and interesting look once it's dried and worked into. Like here, for instance, I'll do a small area with the greens, but I wouldn't do every single thing. And what's nice is it's working into, again, already shapes that have formed themselves and following the contours, not sort of there. That's now, you can see on the right with all the yellows that still has to be done, the top there with the brown, and this one of working. This is a whole repetitive but very rewarding, very fun stage of the painting, where it really starts taking shape and you just sort of define where you want to sort of have more focal points and where not. And there you go again. It's just very much repetition. With a flare brush, just sort of push it around, push it in, and sort of at some areas get rid of the line, and some areas glaze it in, and other areas leave a bit more linear. It's very much very soft, nice process of defining the painting and making it more interesting for the viewer. There we go again. See, in this area, for instance, just that one little part could do with some darkening, which I've done, and that kind of pulls it together, but not everywhere. And then use the little, this is a dry brush, there's no paint on the brush here. This is where you sort of work into the paint and just let it settle. This gives a very nice example with the blues. This now would be an ultramarine or Prussian blue with some black, because it's a very cool area. And just in some areas like there, for instance, those two lines would now, and a bit more of an expressive line to define it and give it a point of interest. And again, a lot of the areas are not touched at all. They just sort of left the way they were. But the combination of this and the line work, and now with the flare brush there and some turpentine to really push the paint and move it around a little bit, which is creates lovely textures over the previous textures, because it's thin, it's translucent, and there we go. And then with the dry brush come in again and soften it in until it dries, and let it just settle. Here again with the darks. And so it goes on and on and on, and As one paints, a painting starts to develop its own character, and one knows when it's enough and when not. And the tonal values create a wonderful richness. These are mostly adding darks in, so it's good to dare it as, okay, different types of light. But that's where I am at right now. Now we'll carry on with it in the next session.